All right, Benny, you're first in line. Tell me, what is your burning question for Josh Daicos in 2026?
Can he play like, you know, I reckon 70% of a game in the midfield?
Yep. Fair question. And what do you, is it a matter of what's been holding? Do we ask the question? Is it what's been holding him back in the past, or is it's just a matter of evolution and becoming this complete player who can now become a relatively full time midfielder?
Yeah, he'll have to evolve his fitness, and that's about it. He's got the skills, he's got the know-how and the knowledge, and we've seen it in bursts, so we know he's got it. It's just a matter of how he trains this off-season for the role.
Done. I love it. All right. Next one is Quaynor. So I'll start off with this one. IQ. My question is, can he? So we saw in 2024 he had a really good year, and then or 2023 he had a really good year. 2024 he fell off, and that's not an understatement. And then he bounced back and found some continuity in 2025 and finished in the top 5 in the Copeland Trophy night. So I'm curious if he can sustain this level of consistency, and then can he? I'm genuinely happy in the player that Quaynor is right now. I don't need anything more than what we get from Quaynor, the 2025 version. So that's where I stand with that. What do you think?
Yeah, look, if you ask me to choose between Josh and him going into the midfield, I'm going to keep Quaynor down back. And I agree. Remember, I tipped him on the night to finish as a sneaky top 5. Remember that?
Remember that vividly, my friend.
Yes, I'll be keeping him down back, and I just hope he can fully capture the 2023 and 2025 form again and not have that on and off again sort of pattern going on. So we'll
Yep.
keep him down back and have him winning his one-on-ones against those smalls,
Mm-hmm,
because the
mm-hmm.
smalls are deadly in the AFL, and if he can shut them down, that's grouse.
Absolutely. Charlie West.
Yep, I'd like to see him play at least 10 games this year. It's going to be hard because we got in that lad, Everest. What's his bloody name? Oh,
Mount Buller.
we
Jack
were
Buller.
calling Mount Buller. That's it, not Everest. Jesus, he's not that big.
Close.
It's going to be hard because I think he's going to be ahead of him, but I'd love to get 8 to 10 games out of him and just have him grab the game and go, nah, this is my spot. Fly says, "Oh, development and set him up to win." Great, love it. I want to set him up in the AFL and see what he's capable of. I don't think it's too early for him yet.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think 8 to 10 is good. I would see that as a good step in the right direction. But I think the ceiling, and as you would agree, the ceiling is, from what we've seen, is quite high for Charlie West. It's just a matter of when he grabs that opportunity and uh, evolves into the next dimension.
Yeah.
Darcy Moore. Darcy Moore. This is me. Darcy Moore. Oh, isn't that convenient that I might actually share this part so we can see on the screen what I'm actually looking at and what line we're following. So that way, Benny, you can also see what line I'm following. So Darcy Moore. Just some, I don't know. In like something within me when I watch him play, I'm walking on eggshells and I'm stressed and I'm quite giddy when he has the ball. Defensively, offensively, I don't. I guess that's just some players inherently, so we must live with that. I don't know how to narrow this down. What my burning question is for Darcy. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of good in Darcy Moore. There's a lot of bad that comes with the good. Benny, can you help me here? Have you got anything for me on this one?
Yeah, yeah. I hope he can throw out those brain fades that he occasionally has. Here in the Adelaide final, that silly bounce and the crappy handball that he gave it right back,
Mm.
and it didn't cost us the match. But those sort of little things, and those odd kicks across the ground that either go nowhere or get turned over. I'd like to see them out, and then yeah, just to see him get the spoils in. That's how he built himself back up this year. He got the spoils and then started on the mark. So we'll just do that again.
Yeah, so probably risk mitigation and decision making, but those are some hard skills to possess and maintain over the course of a long time. But maybe we'll find out. He's had two topsy turvies type of seasons. Let's see in this third season, if we're like creating a new bracket of for his career. This third season in this period of his career, let's see if he can adapt and improve and get back to that all-Australian form, because he hasn't been that in the last couple of years. Dan Houston.
Just settle in.
Dan Houston, Mr. Ben.
Well, sorry, the missus is just coming home, so you might hear her.
You're okay.
Yeah, Dan Houston goes hand in hand with Josh Daicos, because if he's leaving the back line, Dan becomes the general. I think that's what most of us want. Him to be directing traffic down there. Sorry, not so much the general. I guess that's still Moore and Howe. But if he can direct the traffic, kicking the ball out, especially with his deadly foot, I guess that's him.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it shouldn't go without saying that he was nursing some sort of hip injury, and I think if we refer back to late in the season in the final series, there was no hiding that he looked hampered. I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't want to think he was injured. But when the ball hit the deck at certain times in a finals game, that's when the heat is on and the intensity is at its highest. It just didn't look like he was able to match that in speed, in vigor, and I suppose the truth in some ways came out post-season. I'm not like letting him off the hook for the season that he had in its totality, but there was certainly a period of time where he looked moderately hampered, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I have a lot of confidence in him still, because he's got runs on the board elsewhere. There's that factor of coming to our club and learning a new system, and there was a bit of preseason footage where Fly was directing him a bit. Bit more than the others, because he was trying to learn it, and I think he will. And I just want to see the ball in his hands, so just got to give it to him and get him to dish it out.
Fair. What I might do here, Ben, is I'm going to loft up TJ, Jacob Ryan. I think because they're similar roles, TJ, Jacob Ryan, and perhaps Will Parker in the same piece here. So have a crack at those three to get tied together.
So Will Parker definitely has a cool head on him. Loved the small glimpses we saw of him. Just didn't panic. Really liked that. TJ, he ended up injured at the end of the season, didn't he? So I guess that's why we didn't see a bit more of him. He's a bit of a mystery. So yeah, haven't got a lot to say about him. Parker, yes, I can see him playing half a season in the seniors. Who was the other? Ryan. Yeah, I really don't remember much about him other than that first game where he got kneed in the head. We haven't seen him much, have we? And he was all right in the VFL, but haven't seen a lot. And of those three, I would expect Parker to make the jump more frequently, if there's room and assuming there's some injuries. TJ, I'd like to see some development. Ryan, I don't know. I don't know if I have a lot of confidence in him. Haven't seen him much though, so to be fair.
Yeah, injury hampered Ryan's back end of his VFL season as well. So where maybe he would have had an opportunity as opposed to Will Parker, that could have been a situation, but that didn't happen because one was injured and one was available. So I think those three players, being that medium-sized defender role, I think Jath has that point of difference in the athleticism domain and the intercept ability. So yeah, I think next season for those kind of players are ultimately going to tell a lot about where they're going to be sooner rather than later. More so Jacob Ryan, because Jath, I think, is out of contract in 2027, whereas Ryan wouldn't be too far off it. Jacob Ryan was drafted in 2022, I believe. So he would be almost out of contract at the end of next year. But at the very least, he has less rope than TJ and Will Parker at this point. Let's go into...
potential.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go into... I'm going to do Brazie. Genuinely, I have no qualms with Brazie. He brings what he brings. He is what he is. And he just brings this base standard that is more than acceptable and is a role model for a lot of people that would watch the game and want to be a part of the game. So I have no dramas with Brazie. Anything on Braz for you, Ben?
Yeah, look, he picks up players and carries them, doesn't he? And he does it consistently. Very few brain fades, and it definitely doesn't get him down when they do happen. I remember that one on Anzac Day 23 where he kicked it straight to the Essendon player and they just turned around and I think it might have been Stringer turned around and kicked a goal straight over his head. He got on with it and was key in us coming back. So that's sort of exactly what you said. He sort of is consistent and is always tough. That's for sure. Always has a crack. He'll give it all. No dramas.
Yeah, that was sort of the genesis of like the no worries. You make a mistake, sort of just get around your teammate under the tutelage of Flyer. I remember that one. I think that was one of those early moments in the season where you go, yep, no worries, like that's all good. So yeah, I remember that moment. Yeah. That's for sure. Next up, we have Joel Cochran. Benny, talk to me.
So he's a potential backman from what I understand. Played a lot of VFL, hasn't debuted. Don't know a lot about him. Only question, I guess, will we need him to come into the side this year? Have we got with guys like Reef probably ahead of him? Will and even TJ, will there be a spot for him to come in this year? I mean, they'll make space at some time if they pull that resting sort of shenanigans again. But will there be a spot for him, without injury?
Yeah, good question. I think much like TJ, Cochran has a bit of point of difference in his size and his speed. He's like 6'5", 6'6". So what this guy can be is really enticing. So as far as players who have this element of X factor, I'm looking at players like TJ and Cochran as early as next year for Cochran as well. So I'll keep it. We'll be keeping a close eye on Mr. Joel Cochran. Next up, we have Harry Perryman, and this is my one, isn't it? It is Harry Perryman. Really consistent season. I'm at this point in time, I'm not as bullish in thinking we need Perryman in the middle as many others may think. Especially given we've just drafted a mature age recruit in the national draft in Angus Anderson, 22 years old, from the Samful, can also play multiple different positions, including wing and the forward line. So there's that versatility that the Pies love. Think of Bo McCreary, 2020 mature age recruit, can sort of go down that similar route. But yeah, if Josh Daicos is a raging success and Ned Long takes his game to the next level, similar to Quaynor and Brazie in that category, I'm not fussed if Perryman can do what he has achieved in 2025 and just mimic that in 2026.
Yeah, so you're right. Early on, I was more, move him to the midfield, and I was excited that was where he's going to play initially as well. Now that we've recruited Howe, we've just brought in 3 mids, and one's essentially ready to go. I don't know if there is room for him there now. I guess you could say that now that we have 5 on the bench, no sub, that you can always have an extra midfielder, or an extra backman on the bench who can replace him. I'm just laughing at what Luke said in
I
the
just
comments.
Saw it as
well. He's never done Pilates then, has he? my missus will make him cry with one second. Easy.
Mate, it's grueling. I think someone said Darcy goes to the gym, but only for Pilates. Anyhow.
Good.
Where are
Yeah,
we?
so Pez, yeah, look, not fussed if he doesn't play in there, but I'd still like to see him double, here and there. Maybe just rotate through rarely,
Yep.
on
Yep.
rotation.
Yep. Reef. I'm gonna take Reef and sorry, this is you. Sorry, I'm gonna give you Reef and Harvey Harrison together for obvious reasons.
Okay, so Teresa's big boys. Yep,
Yes.
both coming off knees. I think Harvey's is far more progressed. There is a confidence factor there when you actually start playing. So I've not done a knee myself, but I've dealt with a few people who have, and they'll have done all the right things, and they should be fit and firing. But there is a mental side of it, of course. So two ends of the ground as well. Harvey,
Yep.
yeah, I think he'll get his head around it pretty quick. Um, just seeing how he moved even at the end of last year training. Righto, Reacher, how are you, mate?
Right, here he is.
um, um, if yeah, I think he'll play consistently this year. The whole beefed up thing may be a bit uh, over talked about because they'll lose weight as games progress anyway. They all do. He hasn't run every week like the other boys have, so he's going to be bulked up. That's just how it is. Hopefully, he can maintain
Yep.
it and be strong and a burstful player, kind of like a McCreary. Even he could be that sort of type, not as quick, but tough and being able to break away.
Mm.
Reef, yeah. Look, I I, I think he might even start um, when he's fit and healthy. He might come in, but I imagine confidence wise, they might put him in the VFL just to build up the pace and test his body in that real situation because you can train in the comfort zone pretty easily and comfortably, and then you go into the that randomness of the sporting field, and it changes the whole thing. When you go up for those jumps and you're landing, you're not always thinking about, "Oh, I'm going to stick this landing like I do in the gym." It's,
Yep.
it's a bit more random, and you're getting bumped around, and so yeah, like I'll cut it a bit short there, but yeah, I think he would want to. You'd want to see from him, can he maintain it? Uh, in that fiery furnace before you bring him in and go, all right, there you go, son. Now go and compete against the likes of all these good forwards like Cameron and so yeah, probably want to see him warm up to it.
Yep. Do I have anything to add? So I think you've covered that pretty well. They've put on size. They've spent a large period of time off on the sidelines, so naturally they're going to put on size. But they'll equally lose size as they're running more. The confidence in McInnes. I don't think McInnes is a shoo-in as much as people may think, just because Billy Frampton, in my opinion, is still ahead of him, and he had an incredible season. Harvey Harrison will have that confidence that he has played consistent AFL footy, but we must remember, and yes, he's young, he was dropped before he sustained that ACL injury. But those are two players who we hinge a lot of hope on when it comes to the younger crop sort of flourishing at the club. Next up, we have Jeremy Howe. Now, for mine, Jeremy Howe is one of those players out of the older crop where I have a bit more concern for when it comes to just the durability and the ability to remain at the level next season. I just think, and he had a short runway going into the final series, didn't he, with the groin and just concussions. And so I don't want to be too hypercritical of his situation, but on the field, he didn't seem to have that leap anymore. What I do remember is he still has and won't lose that ability to dispose the ball by left on both sides of the body, which is severely underrated. Like, one of the things I love about Jeremy Howe is he can get the ball rolling through the corridor with the riskiest kick that's available on his left foot. That's an asset that you cannot undervalue. But the leaping ability I felt like wasn't there, particularly against the likes of Raynar and whatnot in that prelim, so to bring up open wounds. But that was what I saw, and that is my burning question for Jeremy Howe. Is can he uphold the level that is required to be in the team, and that sort of ties into the opportunity that may present to a Reef McInnes, to a Joel Cochran.
Absolutely. Happy to be proven wrong, but yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence in his body after what I saw. However, we did try to rush him back more often than not last year, and at the end there when he had those injuries. And that's a classic example of what I was saying before, is that you can train your ass off and look great on the track, and you come to that random environment and you haven't got 100% concentration in every jump and landing that you're doing, and things pop. And that's what happened to him frequently. It was 3 times in a row he came in, bang. I mean, one was a concussion early on, if you want to count that too. And then, yeah, so, you know, his body is a big question mark for me. I'm not ever going to doubt his ability. Like you said, um, absolute gem when it comes to setting us up, and he does take the risks even when he's told not to. But good on him. I love it. Yeah, not a heap of confidence in his body, but I am happy to be proven wrong, and I believe it's his last year anyway. So just go out with a bang, Jezza.
Yep. Give me Billy Frampton, Benny.
Yeah, Billy, he'll be our staple fullback, I think. I mean, he was great towards the end of the year. The more he plays, he does build that confidence. Look, I definitely don't want him kicking out of the back 50. I'd love him to take the intercepts and make the spoils and then give the hands off, and let those elite kickers and runners do their thing. Yeah, I'm nervous whenever I see him go to drop it on his foot because anything can happen. I think he'll be a staple, yeah.
I feel like Frampton's kicking efficiency improved like tenfold this season, though. I'd have to go look at the numbers. I've always been anxious watching Billy with the ball in hand, but this year, I tell you what, I think if we look back at it in retrospect, we're going to realize, hold on, this guy actually had a decent season by foot. But I'll leave you to your own devices on that one and have a look and get back to me on that one, because I think you'd have to go look back at the stats and look at his efficiencies versus years gone by.
Do you think maybe his kicking was a bit better because he was doing less of it? And so instead of going, I'm going to chuck it on my foot and get it out of here, he was calculating a bit more, dishing it off to better players, and
All right.
taking the kicks that were sort of good for him, maybe, you know?
It's a fair question. So you're asking if maybe he was possessing the ball less, and when he did have the ball, was he just taking the safer kick? Which is a fair question. And numbers-wise, that's obviously hard to paint a picture with, but maybe it will help me. So let's have a look. Look, the stats might not do me any favors. It's more of a matter of you just have to go back and watch some player highlights on the AFL app. But let's have a look at, let's say, 2024, he played 18 games. His kicking efficiency was 69% at 8 disposals. He had more disposals per game in 2025 at a kicking efficiency clip at 85%. So
Wow.
that's numbers or not, that is a significant improvement as to where he was
Absolutely.
in 2024. More disposals per turnover as well. So 5.4 disposals for every turnover versus 4.7 last year. So it's I think, yeah, once you tie that in with what he actually did in the footage and how he used the ball, very, very happy to see the progress he's made with his kicking ability at the very least, and I'm hoping he can take that into next season. So that was Billy Frampton. I'll take Lachie Schultz. So shooter hampered by concussion and soft tissue as well. So I think the level we get from Lachie Schultz this year is what we expect next year. He's an important cog in the wheel. Wheel in the cog in the wheel, tomato. Ultimately, his pressure and his ability to play high up the ground. I mean, there's times where we see him in our bloody defensive goal square. Now, whether that's overreaching in your or stretching your defensive role as a high half forward, that's up for debate. But I think he looked a bit more steady in front of goals this year when he had the opportunity, and his kicking was better in general. and his pressure was unbelievable. Like some of the pressure acts he puts on are second to none, and at times is what sort of makes the difference between the Pies and the rest of the league at times.
And no problems with Shooter. I just want to see him on the field all year.
Yep.
All home and away games and all 3 or 4 finals. Hopefully only 3.
Yeah.
And he just does his thing. He knows where to run. He's a great kick. He's finishing pretty good. He's defensively as a forward, he's amazing. So yeah, no complaints. Just want to see him on the field all year.
Speaking of trying to keep players on the field, Beau McCreary.
Yeah, he's going to have a bit of a slower start, isn't he? That was bad news. Obviously we want him in. He's another cheeky boy who can start forward, and I believe sort of him and Geordie could sort of play the forward mid role where they kind of rotate with each other and get a bit of burst out. And yeah, both of them in the midfield, there's no room probably. When you're talking, Pendles and Nick and Josh will all probably be there most of the time. But if those two, they're very similar players, more so Geordie was like that when he was younger. Probably got his hand on the footy forward a bit more though. Great kicks for goal on the run, both of them. So I'd like to see those two, if they could rotate forward and mid. Probably Geordie. If those two were on rotation together in those positions, I'd have Geordie sort of 70% middle and Beau the 30%, and sort of swap around. And Geordie can obviously, after he's had a rest on the bench, he can rest forward as well because he's dangerous. What do you think?
Yeah, 30%. Yeah, that's if all things go well, Beau at 40% would be nice. It's just unfortunately, if you're not going to have a full preseason, you're already chasing ass, unfortunately, and you can't have two winged chickens in the midfield, as in the likes of Geordie and Beau, who are at this point in time injury prone. So we do have to hedge our bets and play it safe there. So yeah, just hopefully Beau can get back in the preseason towards the end of Jan, and then give us a chance to see him start in opening round in whatever capacity it is. Let's talk Tim Membrey, and is there anyone to tie this into? I mean, we talked about Charlie West and Jack Buller, and while they're all presented different sizes and different roles in the forward line, they are still all tall forwards. So they're all sort of competing in some ways, depending on how our forward line actually presents, whether we go tall or small or somewhere in between. Membrey is probably one of those players who serving his final season in his contract. I would guess this could be his final season. I'm not willing to bet that this will be his last season, given how good he was last year. I think in his accuracy in front of goals was a point of difference for us, and his work rate at his height and his ability to compete at ground level. I think if he can mirror the same season he had this year, then there's no reason why I don't think Tim Membrey could play on for another year beyond 2026.
Yep, I can definitely see him being rotated out more often next year than he was this season. Making way for those younger boys who are going to be pushing hard. There's a few of them who are going to be pushing hard to come in. I mean, there's a spot now that Brodie's gone. But that's probably Buller's spot for now. But West and McCarthy, they might be pushing to sort of play that Membrey role. Yeah, he's very accurate kick, good dude. But I do see him making way a bit more this year than he did previous season.
Yep. Jordan De Goey, Mr. Ben.
Yeah, so assuming he can get a good preseason in and a real good one, and then do all the little things he needs to keep himself on the park. I want to see him, do more in invested in his warm-ups and his rehab and a bit more Scott Pendlebury like, um, just to keep himself on the park. Now, there's also the baby factor. His missus is pregnant and he's going to have a kid next year. I don't know how he's going to react to that. I mean, it's great news. Good on him. But for talking strictly footy, will that, be a bit of a drain on him? Will that mean he can't put that extra time into his body that we'd like so that he can stay on the field? So, yeah, that's my question. Can he stay on the field given all those other factors? And I know his potential is huge.
Yeah.
His body's capable of doing great things. He needs to put the time in. Um, I think attitude wise, when it comes to that stuff, he's a little bit Dane Swan like, he kind of like, she'll be right, and he'll do it. He works hard, don't get me wrong, but I think once he clocks off, that might be, the end of it, kind of thing. Whereas
Yeah.
guys like Pendles are constantly just working on it, to keep themselves on the park. So I'd like to see if he can, how he'll react to being a dad and that distraction, as nice a distraction as it is and as fun as it is, how will it affect his footy?
Yeah, there's so many ways having a kid can impact somebody's sporting endeavours. I like to think for someone like Goey though, who's been out and about and doesn't mind getting on the piss and having a crack, I think having a kid is probably the best thing for him. Yeah, there might be some teething issues, literally and metaphorically speaking, but I think it will do good things more than bad things. That's my bet, but we can't know for certain. But yeah, it's definitely a great talking point. I'm sure we'll find out what it is to be next year. Let's talk Patrick Lipinski. I've got Paddy Lipinski. Is there anyone else I can tie in with Lipinski? Probably not. Lipinski is just Lipinski. I think he's always going to be on the precipice of the ins and the outs, and he's going to be really good some games. He's going to look like this guy who can get 20 touches and kick 2 goals off a wing as he pleases, and then sometimes he's going to look like he's absolutely nowhere near it. So I don't really have much of a burning question. That's more of a burning statement. That is, Patrick Lipinski will do Patrick Lipinski things.
I'll give you the question. Will he be more than just a filler this year? That's the burning question
No.
because he is a bit
No.
of a filler player.
Yeah. Benny, you there, brother?
Yeah, mate. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. I thought I lost you. Yeah, so your burning question is, can he be more than a filler?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can he get his head over the
say,
footy at least twice?
yeah, that's a big ask. We'll see. Looks like a great player at times. Sometimes just lacking that edge. And your man, SP 400, soon to be SP 4 something that breaks the record.
Yeah. He'll break the record this year. I'm confident. The fact that he did his calf on field for the first time ever, he'll be his preparation. I feel he'll dive even deeper into it to try and prevent that happening again. He'll do whatever it takes. He always will off the field to make his body better. And the fact that that happened, I think uh, he'll step that up, knowing who he is. He'll break the record this year for that. Hopefully, it'll be when we're in Melbourne. Surely they'll manufacture that so we can be there.
Mm.
How many games will he play though? Only question then: will he play more than 18 games? I wonder.
Good question. Good, fair question. I'll leave that open for the forum there and for 2026. Nick Daicos. Now, the ceiling is so high for this guy that my burning question is less about him and more about others. I'll rephrase that. I have more burning questions about other players than Nick Daicos. I don't really have much of a burning question for Nick because he is what he is and he does what he does. My burning question is, can Nick maybe kick 25 goals from the midfield? The burning question surrounding Nick Daicos is who can step up with Nick Daicos on a consistent basis. So I'll give you two sort of burning questions there.
Yeah. And can we get the most out of him? He's such a gun, and he gets his hands on it. He knows how to find the footy. I mean, people say, "Oh, the hard balls he doesn't get." That's because he's so smart. He gets there before anyone else, more
Mm-hmm.
often than not.
Yep.
So can he get the most out of those possessions? Because I'd like to see a few less handballs and a few of those just gun kicks that he can do. And be a bit more dangerous with your kicks, Nick. And really set us up because
Yep.
he can be so deadly. But yeah, and can we protect him? The boys have to get around and just like, especially Ned Long. That's what he's there for. We joke that that's his Nick's bodyguard. That's his nickname. He needs to do that. He needs to smash anyone who sort of tries to interfere with him.
Yep. Nah, fair. Fair. There's a few questions in mind there. Dan McStay, Benny. Talk to me about McStay or McGo.
Yeah. So shoulder coming off a shoulder injury. Now I can tell you, anytime I've had shitty shoulders from MMA for a long, long time, and they can hamper your day. So some of the things, and the marking and a few bits and bobs throughout the year, it's like, well, if he was carrying that, that does explain it. Um, I think out of between him and Membrey, I think if he's fit, he'll play more than Timmy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can he be for the first time be a consistent presence the entire time he's there? So none of these zero goal games is what I'm talking about. Can he be that key big bodied forward that knocks the blokes out of the way and takes the marks consistently and kicks the goals, the ones, not don't miss the obvious ones. And I mean, pinch hitting the ruck when it's down forward as
Mm.
well. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in the ruck as well. Um, can he do it? I hope so. I think he's ahead of Membrey still.
Okay. He's setting up his season for vindication. That should be his main focus point, I think. Whether he announces that or not, he won't. But that's what he's probably thinking internally. I got a fun one. Bobby
Yeah.
Hill. Bobby Hill, get your ducks. Hopefully, have your ducks in a row off field. And in some ways, he the truth is he needs to repay the club and repay those around him. I mean, when you disappear from your workplace for X amount of months, I mean, in what other work environment that's you where you still get paid and whatnot is rare. So he's in a workspace that is completely different, and there is a bit more leeway in these situations. So for those reasons, just get yourself right first and foremost, and repay the club and repay the fans, and more importantly, repay yourself. And everything else will come. He's a great footballer. It's just a matter of Bobby Hill being the guy, being a man.
Yeah, agree with all that. And big question: can he be the best small forward in the comp?
Mm.
Coming
Mm.
off of that traumatic year with a bit of motivation behind him, and can he be the best?
That would be
Can he
huge.
finish
That would
top
be
five in,
huge.
in our Copeland even? Because
Mm.
he's capable.
Okay.
He's deadly.
Did Jamie Elliott finish top
Very
5?
dangerous.
I feel like he got close, didn't he? Feel like Jamie Elliott may have finished top 5 in the Copeland, but what Bobby Hill does that Jamie Elliott maybe doesn't as much is goal assist, which might help him in a Copeland. So
Yeah,
top 5 and also can he become the best small forward in the league, which is definitely possible and not out of the depths of imagination. Harry, let's go Harry DeMattia. On his own, Benny.
right. So obviously played a lot of VFL. 3 years, I think, hasn't debuted. Surely he will this year. So I think the question mark's always been on his sort of kicking disposal, right? And he sprays it a bit, or it's just a bit off. Bit of a mystery. So simply, when he does get his chance this year, it will surely happen. When he does, will he be able to hold the spot?
Mm.
Has
Okay.
he got what it takes to hold the spot?
Okay. Yeah, I concur. I mean, he got won the VFL best and fairest for the club. Everything is pointing towards an opportunity, especially with Bo McCreary injured early for some part of the pre-season. So there's an opportunity there that he should be sniffing. And then if we can tie that into Ed Allan, who's next on the agenda, I think these two players are, while DeMattia hasn't played an AFL game, I think these guys will be battling it out. Both inside players in some ways, but do it differently. DeMattia is more of an extractor and can break out with speed. Ed Allan can also be an extractor, but can also shrug off with his body, his long, lengthy limbs, but doesn't have that outside speed or ability to masquerade where he intends on going in and out of the stoppages. So it will be interesting to see how we utilise DeMattia and Ed Allan, whether they play as wingers, on ballers, in the forward line, halfback flanker like a DeMattia potentially. But those are some curious cases. One of the more curious cases in 2026.
You reckon he looked at the draft and what we just did and thought, "Oh shit, here's three more blokes I've got to compete with," or do you reckon he's fired up
Absolutely.
and like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna let these boys get ahead of me for getting selected this year." I hope the latter. But I just wonder, geez, three midfielders just got recruited for him.
Collingwood are not hiding what they're trying to achieve in the next couple of years, even with the draftees like Prindable, Anderson, and Swaddling. Like, these are players who genuinely could play ahead of some of these players on the list next year. That's factual. Like, we will see that come to fruition. That's my early tip with some of these draftee midfielders. I think they're going to get opportunity next year, given McRae's not on the list anymore. Tom Mitchell's not on the list anymore. Markov isn't there. So there's space there. It's going to be one to watch, absolutely. Benny, Jamie Elliott. Oh, sorry. No, I tell a lie. Sidebottom. Sorry.
Sidey. Okay, so another one. I think, like his mate Jezza, I think it's his last year. Um, he could prove me wrong. He could pull one out. I think we'll see him on the wing. I would like to see him. So the question would be, can he be a bit of a forward and do those front and centers? Because he's just an absolute gun at doing those sort of things. We saw it, a classic example from the Adelaide qualifying final where he was just front and center. He's been doing that his whole career when he's in the forward line. He's so good at it. Will he sort of sneak in there and play a role, play a bit on the wing, bounce between the two, something like that? What do you think?
Yeah, wing opportunity is his last year. I'd like to think in a perfect world he retires a year after Pendlebury. So I guess we'll see. We'll see. It's just that it comes down to performance and whether Sidebottom would want to play on next year. We also have to consider, I mean, if the Pies win a flag next year in this crazy world, would Sidebottom even want to play on? Would some of these that would open up the question for a lot of these players who are on a list? If we won a flag, that's an overall burning question. And I know it's a bit of a stretch to look into this far away, but if we won a flag, who would potentially retire that may have not retired if we weren't to win next year? That's a lot of umming and ahhing, guessing what if. So I don't want to get too deep into that. Jack Crisp is a part of this. Jamie Elliott is next. Jamie. I don't expect Jamie to have the same season he did as far as the numbers are concerned. I think as long as he's kicking his 30-odd goals and applying pressure in the way that he does and taking and putting a lot of pressure on, mental pressure on his, the best medium-sized defender that every club has, I think, his lead-up work is exceptional and his aerial ability is, unquestioned. So there's not much of a burning question for Jamie Elliott. Maybe can he stay on the field and uphold, he got the reward in the contract, but now can he uphold that contract performance wise? So that's probably my burning question.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, like you don't question his ability ever. Can he kick another 40 goals for us this year? or yeah, maybe we'd like it to be spread a bit more amongst those smalls. Hopefully, Bobby Hill's kicking 40, 45 as well, and between them we get 80. That'd be great. Stay on the field, yeah. I just want him to make one good last couple of years to push us towards one more flag, and we'll get the best out of him, I think.
Yep, fair. Let's go Jack Crisp, Mr. Ben.
Yeah, Mr. Consistent, but for a lot of last year, he looked like he needed a rest, didn't he? Yeah, he's he's down on output for sure. Like at least I don't know if the stats agree, but visually when you look at him, you go, "Geez, he's not the same crisp. He's not linking up as much." Um, he's stuffing up the disposals a bit more. Again, it's a bit of an eye test. I don't know if the stats really back it, but that's the vibe I got for him for most of last year. So can he find his best footy again this year?
Yep, fair question.
And
He's
where would
getting
he,
to
where would he play most of the year too? Like where would you put him mostly? Maybe
uh,
down back a bit more again.
I think his best position is in the midfield. I think his second best position is the halfback flank. I think his third best position is the wing, but I think that's the role is the only position that the club are willing to play him at the moment, just to ensure that other players can play elsewhere. So it's a difficult one. He's always been the sacrificial lamb in these cases, unfortunately, and I think it will continue to be that way. Let's go Darcy Cameron. And much like Brazie, much like Perryman, much like Quaynor, I can't see this guy not having another year like he did this year or the last couple of years. Is that intercepting ruckman that plays so well? I might take Steen off the list and bundle them together. Can Steen and DC become this 1-2 punch in the ruck where Oscar Steen is able to establish himself and play 15 odd games in the ones and have some real impact forward of the ball and mimic the intercepting ability that DC poses in the back half in particular. So that's probably my burning question between those two players.
Yeah, it's hard to match DC on those intercepts. He was the best ruckman in the league for that last year, and geez, he was pretty high up on our intercepts overall. So amazing season he had, and rewarded with it with the Copeland win as well. Good on him. So more of the same. How will the ruck rule affect him and that
Mm.
change? I haven't looked super into it. Um, so can you maybe break that down a little bit?
What do I remember? I think you can't go over the halfway line of it, so you can't break. I actually forget. Someone in the chat might need to help me on that one, on the recent rule change. But yeah, regardless of what the rule change is, I think there will be implications. And I think regardless, like DC's not a great centre bounce ruckman and does okay around in the stoppage contests. I think DC is the ruckman that he is because of what he does around the ground outside of the ruck duel. So I think that's sort of where I see DC more importantly. Next up is Will Hayes. And I mean, like I said, we're not going to talk about Jai Saxena or Je Saxena because like the draftees will leave out. Even Buller will leave out. So we've already sort of touched on him. But Will Hayes, can he actually had a really relatively consistent VFL season for a small forward and came into the first team and struggled in the massive clash against I mean, I think he came in against North Melbourne and felt the pressure, which naturally you will, and then he kicked a goal against Melbourne. I think it was one or the other, or one way around the other. But yeah, just keep building, put on some size. The skill is there. The skill and composure is there at training. It's just a matter of can he bring that onto the field in the official realm, the AFL world. So if he can do that, he's going to be a hell of a player, and I'm still willing to die on that hill. That Will Hayes can be much like Bobby Hill. That's the hill I'm dying on. So
This year, can he break in assuming all our small forwards are fit, including Bobby.
I'm going to say no, and I'm okay with that. I don't mind. I don't mind Will
Yeah, yeah,
Hayes serving a bit of a VFL apprenticeship.
yeah. I
Okay.
think Harrison would come in before him to play a forward role
Yep. Yep. Fair
at the
call.
moment.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Let's talk. So we sort of briefly touched on Jack Buller. I think because we don't know much about him, we'll leave him for now. We're going to leave the draftees. Talk to me about Ned Long.
Yeah, well, he has to. He had that patch in the middle of the year, so the beginning middle when the whole team was playing well, where he was just unbelievable. Um, my question is, was he great because the team was great, or was he a key role in making the team great? And I think he was. I think in that it's sort of circular. He played off the team being great, and he had confidence
Mm.
to go with it. So if he can do that again, another preseason, um, another season with the plan, protecting Nick, being a tough nut, I think he can improve again. Really, I don't see why not. What do you think?
I thought he had a really good qualifying final, which is important. That you're gonna get some confidence in that. The prelim, I think he struggled a little bit, but most of the side struggled, particularly in that second half. The great players play well when their teams aren't going well, so that will be a point of improvement. But specifically, I think he just stick to his strengths and just continue to work on decision making with his kicking. That can probably improve, and that will take him to the next level. But that's easier said than
Yeah,
being done.
yeah.
So we spoke about Oscar Steen. Let's talk about. I'm gonna do the Big Roo and Noah Howes because we're hearing that with the way we've drafted as well. Noah Howes is going to potentially go down back as opposed to playing as a key forward. And Big Roo spent a lot of time, or most of the season in the VFL, as a key position defender. I wasn't overly impressed by Big Roo's performances as a key defender, but I'm mindful that this is just his second season. He's very raw. I think there's every chance that Noah Howes could leapfrog Smith and play that role in the VFL and give him every chance to compete with the likes of Reef and Billy Frampton and Joel Cochran in some ways. I think that they offer different sort of traits, though, in Cochran comparing to Howes. So my burning question is, can Howes overtake Smith and can and press for a spot in the ones, but also can Smith hold off Howes and afford himself more time to develop as a key defender in the VFL to then give him a chance at AFL level?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because we didn't get to see a lot of them at our level. Smith especially didn't play at all. Um, yeah, I they're down the pecking order. Can they lift
Mm-hmm.
above, and push real hard for it,
Mm-hmm.
especially with some of the new blokes who came in? Can they push above?
Yep. Lastly, Ben Zero, give me Lachie Sullivan and Rowan Steele.
So Sully, he's a real battler sort of type of player, isn't he? And not overly, not flashy, not super skillful, but just he kind of plays a role and fills a role. He puts his head over it, which is more than I can say for Paddy Lipinski. But I I think we're having a bad time if he plays a lot of games this year. Sullivan, that is. You know, credit to him. I think he might have been about to head out anyway had he not hurt himself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll be pretty injured side if he's playing this season coming. Um, Rowan Steele, geez, what a level head on him, and just doesn't seem to panic. Really nice kick. I'd like to see him get a bit more of the footy. But now we're sort of talking. Oh, who who makes way for him? Maybe a Paddy Lipinski type makes way for him, and you see him running down the wings um, with some good forward entries. Because I was really impressed with what I did see, which was a little, But yeah, I think I can see him playing possibly 10-ish games this year and sneakily pushing someone out.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
Sullivan, I don't think so. I think we're in strife if Sully's. playing a lot of games for us.
Yeah, and we say that as kindly as possible. I mean, he served the role, but I think much was the case this season. The only reason why he was playing double-digit games this season, with all due respect, was Bo being in and out, Lachie Schultz being in and out, Bobby Hill being in and out. I think Sullivan serves as good depth, but not depth in a way that he's a bottom, he's a starting 23 player.